This
Okay.
meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, this
Okay,
meeting
that's
is
just basically a rundown.
being recorded. We're David Dennison.
Hi, I also have been around for a little while. I'm president of Bridgetown Sound Portland Metro chapter, and about 6 years now. And I've sung a little bit with the Senators, and hi Greg, and hi Bob. And I have been at Bridgetown Sound for something like 9 years, and that's about as long as I've been in Barbershop. I also joined the Portland area vocal summit men's chorus recently. So, you know, barbershoppers get around. Our chapter has been, it was chartered in 2001, and we've had a lot of good years of liking to compete, and our big thing in the chapter has always been tag singing. And so we're kind of a jovial group, but then COVID hit and took us down to about 12. We were running about 25 at contests. And so obviously, just like everybody, you know, we want to have enough members to sing, and Bridgetown Sound was very lucky, and a lot of it was luck that we got invited to international competition. And so we want to have enough singers to go there, because the core is very enthusiastic. And we did gain 3 new members recently, so we're running around 15 hardcore that show up every time, and we have a few more sort of trailing around. But so, you know, we have enough to survive, and we're happy. And our long-term director, since almost the beginning, John Burry, had to move to Arizona. So we did a director search and came up with Paul Olguin, who's been on and off related to our course and been a member for a long time. And so he is really doing a great job, and he's just running really well. He's in a good spot. And so we're very happy about all of that. But of course, we would love to have more singers.
We'll see if we can catch up with Karen Caldwell from Harmony Kings. Karen, hello. You're just in time to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with the chapter, and just a kind of a brief rundown of you.
Okay, I'm Karen Caldwell, and I direct the Federal Way Harmony Kings. I've been directing them since the fall of 2007 or 8. I can't remember for sure. And so a long time. And Greg used to be the president of our chapter, and so I owe him so much for leading us through a couple of rough years that the details we won't get into. But I just really appreciate that I get to be part of this. Sorry I'm late. I had an appointment that came up, and it's my tax appointment, believe it or not. So now I'm done. And I'm okay. Not only am I the director of the chorus, nobody would be the marketing person. I said, well, I have the biggest mouth of anybody, so I guess I'll be the marketing person, but I'm not really that great at it. I do a lot of publicity through Facebook and just word of mouth. And I advertise the beans out of whatever we're doing in the best I can, but I know there are better ways I could do it. Okay.
I am Greg, and I'm a 41-year radio broadcaster, which means that I skew everything toward audio and that type of thing. I am a 17-year barbershopper, although the society took 1 year away from me because I was on the easy pay. So officially I'm 16 years, but I've actually been involved and associated with it a long time. I started in Tri-Cities at Columbia River Chordsman, and then ended up auditioning and getting into Rainier Valley Harmonizers, sang at district competition with them on the day that Ted announced he was leaving. And the next meeting we had 8 people left. And so we regrouped as Puyallup Valley Harmonizers, and that had all kinds of issues going on that created problems. That group dissolved. Went to school when I was 60 and got my 2-year degree in business. I'm an associate in business. Nobody knows what the heck that is, but that's what I am. And specializing in marketing, because I've had a lot of experience in marketing. was also a racetrack director, so I ran a weekly stock car racetrack for 13 years. And so I have a lot of experience, but what I have more than anything else is a desire to help barbershop chapters figure out the stuff called marketing. I have a video, and thanks to Glenn Hayes, I have become the co-host so I can share my screen. And I showed this at the very first meeting. And the white knuckles and terror on the look of everybody after the video got going for a couple of minutes was unbelievable. And everybody was rapidly trying to take notes. And I don't want you to take notes. I want you to let this wash over you. I also broke it up into 3 different categories. So the idea today is I'm going to show you videos that cover the 4 Ps. Now, my first question is, who in this group knows what the 4 marketing principles are? Okay. Who in this group has really looked at the evgdistrict.com website?
Yeah.
Okay, a few. I encourage you to look at that website, and I will show it to you in a little while. But we're going to start off, if I can figure out how to do this, I'm going to share my screen and share my sound, I hope. And we're going to take a look at the first 2 Ps of the marketing process, which is called product and price. And when we're done with this, we will talk about it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this wonderful video. I think the hardest part of marketing a chapter is really taking a serious look at who you are, what you are, and where you want to go. Because your chapter is unique. One size of marketing doesn't fit all. There are 2 elements that get in the way of building a marketing plan. The first one is procrastination, because it sounds like an impossible and difficult challenge. A lot of work, maybe even boring. The second thing that gets in the way is not truly identifying the first 3 Ps. Most of us just want to jump into the promotion advertising part without thinking about product, price, and place. So let's look in depth at the first 3 Ps. Let's start with product. On the surface of it, it's easy for us to identify our product. It's a cappella singing in the barbershop style. But is there more to it? Yes, there is. The first thing you need to take into consideration is your differentiation, which means you must ask a few added questions. What is our product? Who uses our product? Does the product have mass appeal, or is it a niche product? Is there any part of our product that requires extra explanation? What age group uses the product now? What age group do you want to attract with the product? Which gender uses the product the most? Has the product developed a brand with your current customers? Has the product had an improvement over the last year? Does your product require a certain age, gender, income, or educational level to use and enjoy the product? Can your product develop new customers? Do you need to consider any product changes? So it's more than just saying we're barbershop. It really means that we need to drill down into our product so that we understand who uses it. What makes us different? What sets us apart? What makes us something that you would want to see on stage? What makes us better than any other community performance organization? Price is a tricky situation because there's a tendency to say we've always charged $20 per seat, and that's what we're going to charge this year. But how is that really affecting you? How much does your product cost? Does price deter your customer? What is the true value of your product to your customer? Is price negotiable? To buy the product, does it require a certain income level? Time is a factor of price. Is time a customer consideration? Can you use the price to increase sales or alter customer behavior? If so, how? Product and price are 2 items that are easy to take for granted because we really don't want to mess with the questions in the first place. Okay, so any comments or thoughts about what you just saw? It's something you didn't understand, a question that you have, just stick your hand up and I will try and catch you and call on you. None? Okay, Bob.
Yeah, that went by really, really fast. There's a lot of information in there. But again, all of the tools that are there, I think are very, very important. But how do we, on an individual basis, and I'll just start the conversations, how do we determine who we are and where we fit in our community?
Okay, and there was one other hand. Was that James?
Yes.
A comment?
Okay. I have a list of their fans, people that come over the last, well, we're celebrating 30 years this year. And they are, many of them are seniors and older, and they are losing some. However, we are attempting to include younger people, which is mentioned also in the program here, a lower price for children sort of thing. So that brings other people into the mix.
Okay. Basically, how many think that basically, we are an organization that relies on our members to get us members. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. If you took 3 guys and asked them to share with them to define your chapter, would they all say the same thing? Probably not. If you're familiar with the poem from the 1800s called "The Blind Men and the Elephant," they took 10 blind people to see an elephant, and they put one by the trunk and one by the tail and one by the and they were asked to describe the elephant, and of course the guy that's standing by the trunk is saying, well, this feels like a branch of a tree. And so the guy standing at the tail says, well, this is like a snake. And you got the guy at the legs, and he's basically saying, well, no, this is like a column. Somebody standing at the side, this is like a wall. What you need to do with your chapter is kind of unite the whole thing and come up with a phrase, a sentence, or something that's 60 words or less that describes your chapter. And then you got to work with your membership so that you're all describing the same thing. So I have a couple of examples here. If you start with your chapter and trying to figure out what it is, you could be a quality singing organization that specializes in community performances and fundraising for scholarships to Harmony Explosion Youth Camp. Short, sweet, to the point, and describes Harmony Kings, as a matter of fact. A fun musical chorus that enjoys singing together, growing in fellowship and social activities. And that might just be what we have been known to call the social chapter. You could be a chorus of energetic members striving for improvement, competition, and national recognition. And that's a perfectly worthwhile thing. But if I were to come as a new member, and a lot of this stuff I've geared toward getting an audience, but from this meeting and the last meeting, I've discovered that attracting membership is much more important to you at this particular point. But if your chapter is telling the same story, so if I went to a chapter and I said, tell me about it, and I talk to somebody and they say, oh yeah, we get together and sing every Tuesday night and we do a couple of shows. Doesn't give me a whole lot of information. And if I ask somebody else, they say, oh, we're competition driven. Okay. Every chapter should be able to figure out their who, their what, their why, or whatever, and instruct your chapter members to talk in the same vocabulary. They don't have to say the same thing. They don't have to memorize it, but they need to be talking in the same vocabulary so that as a member or as a potential member, I come in and I have a real clear thing that our chapter does 2 shows a year. We compete twice and we go out in the community and we sing for anybody that will listen. At least I know what that chapter is. If the people within the chapter are not talking the same language, I could walk away really, really confused as to what's going on. I saw James' hands up one more time. Marty, was yours up too?
Yes, I was going to mention that one of the things that I have a tendency to mention is that it's an a cappella group, and that this 4-part harmony is so rich. We have many, many singing groups in our city of about 1 million people. And one of the things that makes Barbershop different from the other singing groups is that a cappella and that wonderful harmony.
Yeah. That's good. And that's a big chunk of it. Derek.
Yeah. I've been in First Capital Chorus for 15 years. When I joined, the phrase that was going around there was the fun guys in the red jackets. And at that stage, we had probably 40 or 50 members. It's sort of decreased over the last 15 years to be now down to, as I say, a dozen or more. But I think we have to you remind me that we should get back to something that sort of was our principle. And we're on the border of outside of Bellingham, where we have toppers across the border. And toppers used to send up 5 guys a night for our practices because it was more fun to be up here. Singing probably wasn't the same as they're doing. We had a couple of guys coming in from Abbotsford and Chilliwack, which is 50K to the east. So I think we have to sort of get back to those principles. However, I will say that what I think is a place that we all may be having to look at a little bit further is that every other group in our area went from 63 singers, points singers, in adjudication up to close to 70. So we still wanted to maintain 25 or 35 songs that we could sing competently to go out into the community and have fun with. Now, the other groups have gone ahead in their points totals to 70, and we've sort of almost died at 63. So I think some of the groups and we too have to decide which place we're going to be in. And I think it's not probably a BHS competition chorus.
One of the things that has occurred is that I think particularly COVID has uncovered a lot of weaknesses that we didn't know we had. Mm-hmm. And I think that we're all struggling with that. One way to determine whether your chapter is in the right place is go back and look at your founding documents. Find out if you are still what you think you are. People that have been in a chapter for a long time have an idea in their head as to what the chapter is. New directors can change the direction of a chapter. New boards can do that and change the direction. And basically, if you go back to your founding things and take a look at your documents, are you still what you were? Because you could be sending out a whole lot of information which is no longer the case. Karen, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think COVID actually, in the case of our situation, the Harmony Kings, has given us an opportunity to identify what we really are, because Harmony Kings used to be a very serious competition chorus years past before. And as I came in as the new director, the first female director, it was a challenge to try to stay at that level. And then when we got to where COVID comes along, all of a sudden there aren't any competitions, and we were able to identify what the majority of our chorus doesn't really want to have it be competition be the #1 goal. We still want to compete, but just for the purpose of being able to get out with the other singers and have the judges give us some feedback, not to win. We know we're not going to. Our age group has, I mean, our guys are so old. I have 4 guys in their 90s, and I have like, I mean, I should write the list down to find out what the mean age is and the average age. It's a very old chorus. And so to try to make the pressure on them to like, we've got to compete, blah, blah, blah. This COVID that took the gas off of that. And instead we had Zoom on Tuesdays. And I thought a lot of these guys didn't want to do Zoom. They were having difficulty with it, weren't comfortable with it. And they just said, I can't do it. So I thought, I can't lose these guys. So we started meeting in a school parking lot on Thursday nights. And that was a huge success. Sometimes I'd have 30 people. We met at a school that was centrally located. And then a lot of us would go out for pizza afterward. And our chorus, I think, actually strengthened during chorus because we didn't feel that pressure of, okay, now we got to have coaching. Oh, we got to have a special thing. We better hope we score this high. That just did not come into the conversation. And it's allowed us to really just wallow in who we really are. And we like to sing out in the community and acknowledge veterans. That's really our number one. That's what we take pride in. And we have at least 2 gigs a month now, especially, I mean, we are full. Our calendar is full. And in fact, this afternoon, we're singing in a place in Tacoma, and we're going to be doing the Armed Forces medley and acknowledging all the veterans, and we'll all be crying. And that's what we love to do. And it's been refreshing to get to take the gas off the competition pressure in our chorus. And we had 30 people at rehearsal Tuesday. And it's pretty consistent that we have like 27 to 30 people. And we've brought in new members through that. We had people that started coming on the Thursday nights because they thought, oh, this is fun. And now they're hooked. One of the girls that just showed up for the heck of it is our treasure now. And so we've found real success recently.
Wow. And in terms of that, I ran because I was a former marketing VP for Harmony Kings and former president of Harmony Kings. We did a survey to determine stuff, and we talked a lot about whether we were a community performance group or were we a competition group. So we ran a survey, and the survey from the members came back saying that they would definitely support District 2 convention, and they would support that, and they would sing on the division level. They were not all that interested in singing a district. The other thing is that Harmony Kings supported and hosted the Division 2 competition, so they had a vested interest in it as well. But they're pretty well defined, and that's why I wanted Karen on this meeting. They're pretty well defined as to what they want to do, and community performance and singing for people in nursing homes and all that kind of stuff. That's what they're into, and they really understand what their chorus is. And if you talk to the members of that chorus, and I was a visitor a few weeks ago, they were telling me what kind of chorus they were, and they were excited about it. And so that's important. Steve, I see your hand up.
Yeah, Karen, that's terrific. We have a big military presence in Alaska, and that's something we're focusing on. And I just want to say that the director that opened my world up was a woman director by name of Kathy Carmody, and she took free voice lessons for about 6 weeks, built us up to 38 guys. We went to Tacoma for our first division, and that's where I saw Bob Cox, and it just opened up the world to me. So I really applaud that. Going along with what you're talking about is we want to focus on music, where regular barbershoppers like me, I'm an average barbershopper, our course average, but we're working on developing musically and a system so when people come into it, we can tell them, here's what's cool about joining the Midnight Suns is if you like to sing a cappella, that's what we do. And we like, and you'll learn how to learn basic a cappella principles, good singing principles, and we're learning really cool arrangements, and we're going out and performing into the community, and we're establishing systems so when you come in, you know exactly what you're going through. And we find, and already we're doing it on ourselves first. So, and already the difference in how we sound right now is a whole different, and the energy when we leave, everybody's all excited. And our plan is to set up specific singing events that are, you know, sort of high profile. One is we have an officers, we honor the fallen officers, pardon me, the fallen officers coming up. We'll sing at Fort Richardson for the Memorial Weekend. We're putting together like a cabaret sometime late summer or early fall. And then we've got 2023, a big event established. And one of the things that Bob Cox talked about too, the other thing we're focusing on is how do we use Zoom? How do we use the COVID thing? Because when it rears its heavy, you know, its ugly head, how are we going to anticipate for that? And fortunately for us, we also have skilled people in video and audio production. So we can, you know, we can put some cool little packages together coming from Alaska, for example, like for Valentine's, you know, and we're even looking at doing Christmas carol cards to send out to people, little things like that. But we're being very event focused. And the other thing we're working on is communication, pardon me, communication within the chorus. So we have a guy calling members every week, and we have a process. So, but for right now, you know, the old saying, before you market it, fix it. And that's what we're working on right now. But I love where you're going with your chorus.
Greg.
Yeah, I had a question
and then Marty. Greg, you first.
Yeah, question for Karen. You mentioned that your plate is full pretty much. Your calendar is full coming up. Are you performing as a full chorus, or do you have VLQs that go out and do all these different gigs?
It's a full chorus.
Wow.
I had a rehearsal Tuesday night. I said, okay, I need to take a poll of the, you know, we keep a list. So my manager, the guy that sets up all the gigs, he already had a list, but I wasn't looking at it. And I just said, okay, let me see how many tenors are going to be there. All 4 tenors raise their hands. How many leads? Like 5 out of 6 of them raised. I mean, almost the entire group that was there Tuesday night is going to be there today. And it's pretty miraculous. That's been consistent with our chorus. I'll think, well, I hope we have enough people. And then there we are with, you know, 25 people on a, you know, and they'll drive from all over the place. They live everywhere from Olympia to up north, all over. So another thing that I did during COVID, I kept a list of my members. If they weren't on Zoom, I called them and I sent cards out to them periodically. I send them birthday cards. And I mean, I'm really aggressive about, or assertive aggressive, I don't know what word I want to use, about personal contact with each of my members. If I worry about them, you know, I like one of them I just called the other day and someone else answered the phone. I thought, oh no, he died. He's 93. He didn't die. But I keep close contact with my people. And during COVID, we also did Christmas cards. We have a very good tech guy that has set up for virtual, like we did, I think we did 4 different virtual performances. We did virtual singing Valentine's, we did virtual Christmas cards. We did a God Bless America, America the Beautiful medley performance that I repost every holiday, every patriotic holiday on Facebook and stuff. So I have a good team.
Marty. You're on mute.
Okay. Yep. There we go. Great stuff. And I'm excited to have Greg come in and excited for his ideas. We haven't had a marketing guy for a while, and so it's going to be pretty exciting. But I guess my comment is something that I picked up through this. You know, you say it's always easier to change direction when you're stopped than if you're moving. And I think the one benefit from COVID, it gave us all a moment to pause and really think about where we're going. And one of the guys that's had an impact on our course is Dr. Jace Saplan. He shared some stuff at a district Zoom meeting, but one of his big things is community and knowing your community. And the one thing we've been discussing here is, how are we known out in the community? I think we all sometimes get in our little box of the barbershop world, and the audience that we have for our shows is, if you took a poll, probably the same almost show after show after show. And for Eugene, you know, been here for coming up on 76 years. How many people, if we went out to Eugene, Springfield, greater area and said, hey, do you know about the Cascade Chorus? what percentage would say, oh yeah, we know those guys? I bet you'd be pretty small. And I think that's pretty common out and about. So the questions we're driving is, how do we get more involved in the community? Where can we go to show that we can impact the community? And by doing that, you're going to get bigger shows. You're going to draw new members of people that you never thought about reaching. Our Christmas show, we did a Food for Lane County benefit. The mission was cans of food. Had 200 people there live at a Christmas show this last year. Picked up, I think, like 900 pounds of food for Food for Lane County. We're going to look at Wounded Warriors as another support group to pick up here in this year. So to me, that's an important question that impacts all of us, all the groups. How do we get more involved in the community? How do we support them and go, we want to be involved in what's going on?
Well, first of all, let's talk briefly about your VP of marketing. Those of you that are fortunate enough to have a VP of marketing, there are two prongs to what your VP is supposed to be doing. And on the website, if the VPs want to look at the 2012 job description of the marketing director from the society, you will run screaming and tearing out your hair going, I can't possibly do this. They did update it in 2016, but they just took away a few of the duties and moved it someplace else. So in terms of this, you got to start internally, but you have internal marketing, which is keeping your members happy and growing your members. Mm-hmm. And you have external marketing, which is going out to your community and becoming known. So those are the two elements, any way you look at it. Now, there's a couple of things that I discovered when I was a marketing VP, is I was not taking advantage of other chapter officers who overlapped with me. Your vice president of membership and your vice president of marketing should be working lockstep in figuring out how to draw in new members. Your vice president, if you happen to have a chapter manager or a vice president of communications, the vice president of communications, vice president of marketing need to get together and figure out how they overlap and how can they help each other. It was when I started building relationships with other people that I became more successful in my job. And when I was with Harmony Kings, I had a huge marketing budget of $500, which meant that I had to do a lot of shoe leather. We had to have all of our members talking about who we are, what we are, and what we want to do. And one of the things that we wanted to do was sing out in the community. So that became a major focus. So those things, getting out into the community, just requires shoe leather.